Shalom, shalom, Zion. Shalom, Yashar'Al, upright one of Yahuwah. Shalom to the older brother, the elder Ak, Yahudah. Shalom to the younger Ak, Ephraim. Shalom to the stranger, the former Ger, the former Goyim, the former Goy, the former stranger, the former swine, the former dog, who has come out from amongst the nations and who has engrafted themselves into the house of Yashar'Al, and whereby now you are now fellow citizens of Yashar'Al, and whereby now fellow partakers of the same covenants and the same promise and the same inheritance that was given to Yashar'Al and to Yashar'Al alone. Shalom, shalom to you worldwide, wherever your feet touch the soil. Shalom, shalom to you on this Yom. Shalom, shalom to you on this Yom. Mashpaka, I have a warning for the remnant of the house of Yashar'Al this morning. I have a warning. And the warning is, do you hear the war drums? Do you hear the war drums? For indeed there is war coming. War is coming. Indeed, there is physical war coming. A physical war is coming indeed, because indeed this is also identified in the text, in the scripture. We are warned that war is coming. Physical war. But I haven't been sent by here today to discuss physical war. I'm talking about another kind of war. I'm talking about another kind of war. I'm talking about the coming spiritual war. The coming spiritual war. And to ask the question, or to cause you to ask the question on this day, to take an introspective look at yourself, and to ask the question, Zion, are you prepared? Are you prepared for the coming spiritual war that's coming? Before we get into this, before we get into the message, let me preface. Let me give you a preface. Let me preface this message with some things. And that is, I need you to understand, Yah needs us to understand something. And that is that Torah governs everything. Torah governs both the Shamayim and the eradicate. Torah governs both the Shamayim and the eradicate. Indeed, Torah governs both the seen and the unseen. It governs both the seen and the unseen. Indeed, whether or not someone submits themselves to Torah or not has no bearing on whether or not they are being governed by Torah. Indeed, Torah governs everything, whether or not you submit yourself to it or not, because indeed, everything that has breath, every ruach, is going to be judged by Yah's righteous Torah at the time of judgment. Every ruach is going to be judged by his Torah. So it governs everything. It governs both things on the eretz and both things and things that are in the Shamayim, both seen and unseen. Torah governs it. Torah governs it. Now, albeit the unseen, they don't necessarily submit themselves to it, but they must respect it. But they must respect it. What do I mean? What do I mean? In the beginning, when Yahuwah created mankind, Adam, when he created Adam and Kuah, he gave Adam dominion over the earth. He gave him dominion. He made him ruler over the eretz. Indeed, he made him Elohim. He made him Elohim over the eretz. Indeed, is it not written that we are Elohim? Is it not written in Tahalim, the 8th chapter, that we were made a little less than Elohim? Now, I know what the KJV says. It says that we were made a little bit lower than angels or Malachim. But if you look at the Abri, the correct Abri, the word there is Elohim. Elohim. He made us a little lower than Elohim. Indeed, if Yahuwah is Elohim and we are his sons and daughters, if we are the sons and daughters of Elohim, then what does that make us? It makes us Elohim. Now, we are not creators. We are not above our Father. We are worms. We are dirt. We are dust. Nevertheless, if we indeed are sons and daughters of Elohim, then we are Elohim. Then we are Elohim. Hence, when Yahusha was talking with the Pharisees, and he made the declaration that he and his Father are one, and they began to pick up the stones to stone him, he then asked, why are you picking up stones to stone me? For which one of my works do you stone me? And they declared, it is not for your works that we stone you, that we want to stone you, but for the reason that you, being a man, make yourself out to be Elohim. And so it was understood that if you are a son of Elohim, then you too are Elohim. Do you understand? We see a example of this in the mythical account of Hercules. In the mythical account of Hercules, he was supposedly the son of Zeus. And you have to kind of see through these things. You have to kind of sift through all the lies and see the truth in this thing. But nevertheless, he, being the son of Zeus, was also considered a mighty one because his father is a mighty one. Do you understand? He, being the son of a mighty one, he too being a mighty one. Thus, in Greek mythology, he is worshipped as the mighty one, as one of the mighty ones of sports. He is worshipped as one of the mighty ones of sports. Nevertheless, I pray that you get this, but because Hashatan deceived our father Adam, and Adam obeyed him instead of Yah, then Hashatan became the mighty one of this earth. He became the Elohim of this earth, where Adam was originally made Elohim of this earth. But when he submitted himself, when he subjected himself to Hashatan, Hashatan became mighty one of this earth. Nevertheless, in the original instruction, which is eternal, in the original instruction, in other words, Torah meaning instruction, Torah meaning instruction, in the original instruction, Yahuwah gave dominion of the earth to mankind. He gave dominion of the earth to mankind. So what am I saying? What is Yah saying? The dominion of the earth, this realm, has been given to flesh. It has been given to flesh. And thus, both the seen and the unseen must respect that Torah. They must respect that instruction. Torah, again, meaning instruction. Turoth, meaning instructions. And so this particular instruction, giving dominion of the earth to mankind, giving it to flesh, must be respected. Must be respected. Hence, before Hashatan can do anything in this earth, or before wicked spirits or demons can do anything in this earth, They need flesh in order to accomplish their desires. They need flesh who has been given dominion over this earth to accomplish their desires. For instance, a murderous ruach needs a fleshly host who has dominion in this reign to accomplish its murderous desires. A lustful ruach needs to inhabit flesh who has dominion in this earth, who has dominion in this realm to accomplish its lustful desires. It works the same way with Hashatan. Hashatan is ruach, he is spirit. And thus, in order to accomplish his desires in this earth, he needs flesh to do it. I'm going somewhere with this. He needs flesh to do it. So you see, these are the legal parameters. These are the legal parameters. And they must respect the legal parameters of what has been established in the arrest. They must respect it. They must respect it. They cannot operate outside of these legal parameters. Likewise, Yahuwah being Zadok, Yahuwah being righteous, he too will not go where he has not a legal right to be. I know he's the creator of all things, but he is righteous. Do you understand? He is righteous, and he will not go where he does not have a legal right to be. Thus, in order to accomplish his will in this earth, he uses flesh. He indwells us. This is how he walks amongst us. This is how he walks in the earth, because he lives in us. He lives in the hahiko of the human heart. Indeed, this is why he came in flesh, so that he would have a legal right to be here. This is why he manifested in flesh in the first place, in the body, in the form of Yahushua HaMashiach, so that he would have a legal right to be here. And thus, in order for him to legally operate in this realm, which he gave to mankind, he dwells in mankind. He dwells in us so that through us, he can exact his will on the earth, so that he can exact his will on the earth. What does this have to do with the coming war? What does this have to do with the coming war? Zion, again, we've discussed that there are legal parameters. There are legal parameters that must be abided by. Torah governs both the Shamayim and the Eretz, both the Shamayim and the Eretz. Here's what we need to understand. From the very beginning, from the time that Adam was placed as ruler over the Eretz, Hashatan has desired to kill mankind. Why? So that he can have the Eretz to himself. So that he can have the Eretz to himself, and so that Yah would no longer have a stake in the Eretz that he created. See, we are his stake. The image of Yah, those who are created in his very image. We are his foothold in the Eretz. And thus, if Hashatan can kill and persecute and eradicate Yah's people, his people in whom he dwells in, and whereby he has a foothold, and whereby he can operate in the Eretz through us, if he is successful in killing his people and eradicating us from the earth, then he'll have the earth to himself. Then he'll have the earth to himself. Thus, a warning to the remnant of Yashar'Al. There is war coming. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Now, I need you to bookmark in your mind that Hashatan needs flesh. He needs flesh in order to operate in this earth. He needs flesh. I need you to bookmark that, and it's going to make sense as I begin to read from the Martyrdom of Isaiah, the 4th chapter. The Martyrdom of Isaiah, the 4th chapter. Many of you may not have read this, and I'm neither encouraging you or discouraging you from reading it. However, if you read it, I would warn you to chew the meat and spit out the bones. To chew the meat and spit out the bones. That's that is typically my approach when I read some of these extra scriptural texts. Many of them I accept as scripture. The Apocryphal, I accept as scripture because they are scripture. But some of the extra scriptural texts that I read, I simply chew the meat and spit out the bones. For me, it must have witnesses. It must have witnesses, and it must bear witness with my inner man. And the 4th chapter of the Martyrdom of Isaiah indeed bears witness with my inner man, and it also bears witness with the rest of Scripture. It also bears witness with the rest of Scripture. So bearing that in mind, let us read the 4th chapter of the Martyrdom of Isaiah, and let's explore this from the subject, a warning to the remnant of Yashar'Al. There is war coming. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Beginning at verse 1. And now Hezekiah and Josaph, my son, these are the days of the completion of the world. After it is consummated, Beliar, in other words, wickedness, the great ruler, the king of this world, and we're talking about Hashatan, will, hear me, will descend, who have ruled it since it came into being. Yea, he will descend from his firmament in the likeness of a man. In the likeness of a man, a lawless king, the slayer of his mother, who himself even this king. Remember, I asked you to bookmark that Hashatan needs flesh in order to accomplish his will. And so when his reign, when his kingdom is resurrected, when his physical kingdom, he's going to have a physical kingdom on this earth, and he is going to reign and he's going to rule, he needs flesh to do it. And so here we understand that he is going to occupy a body. And again, I'm going to give you 2 or more witnesses that are going to bear witness and are going to testify to this, that Hashatan himself is going to reign. He is going to reign. But the question is, are you prepared? Are you prepared? So reading again, after it is consummated, Beliar, the great ruler, the king of this world, will descend, who have ruled it since it came into being. Yea, he will descend from his firmament, because hence from his firmament, hence he's called the prince of the power of the air. He is called the prince of the power of the air. He rules from the Lord Shamayim. He rules from the Lord Shamayim. He and his principalities, they rule from the Lord Shamayim. But he needs flesh in order to accomplish his will. But in the coming war, he is going to descend, and it says here, in the likeness of a man. In the likeness of a man. A lawless sovereign, the slayer of his mother, who himself, even this sovereign, this king, will persecute, hear me, will persecute the plant which the 12 ambassadors, or 12 what they call apostles, of the beloved have planted. Of the 12, one will be delivered into his hands. The ruler in the form of that sovereign, that king, will come, and there will come, and there will come, and there will come with him all the powers of this world. Listen, all the powers of this world, and they will hearken unto him in all that he desires. All the powers of this world is talking about the principalities and the wicked spirits, the demons, and those of flesh that are subject to him, Also, we're talking about here Nephilim. We're talking about here mythical Nephilim, who are not mythical. We're talking about other mythical creatures. We're talking about werewolves and vampires and mermaids and giant monstrous-like creatures. Don't shut me off. This stuff is not myth. We're talking about all the powers of this world that have been hiding, but when his kingdom is erected, they will no longer have a need to hide. They will no longer have a need to hide. But are you prepared? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? It goes on to read in verse 3, will persecute the plant which the 12 ambassadors of the beloved have planted. Of the 12, one will be delivered into his hands. This ruler in the form of that sovereign will come, and there will come with him all the powers of this world, and they will hearken unto him and all that he desires. And at his word, listen, the sun will rise at night, and he will make the moon to appear at the 6th hour. He will operate in signs and wonders. Absolutely, he will for a season. He will operate in signs and wonders, and the text declares that he is even going to deceive some of the elect. He is even going to deceive some of the elect. And all that he have desired, he will do in the world. He will do and speak like the beloved, and he will say, I am Elohim, or I am God, and before me there has been none. My beloved, one of the ways to detect him is that he cannot give life. He cannot raise the dead. Only the Spirit of Yah can give life. Only the Spirit of Yah gives life. Only the Spirit can give life. Only the Spirit of Yah gives life. So he will not be able to do that. So if you are one that are in the world in this time, and listen, we're in this season. We're in the season. I'm not talking about 50 years from now. I'm not talking about 75 years from now. I'm not talking about 10 years from now. I'm not even talking about 5 years from now. I don't know when, but we are in this season, Zion. We're in this season. And so if you are here, one of the ways to detect him is that he will not be able to raise the dead. Only the Spirit gives life, but he will be able to operate in signs and wonders. Verse 7 reads, and all the people in the world will believe in him, and they will sacrifice to him, and they will serve him, saying, this is Elohim, and beside him there is no other. And they greater number of those who shall have been associated together in order to receive the beloved, he would turn aside after him. And there will be the power of his miracles in every city and region. And there will be the power of his miracles in every city and region. And he will set up his image before him in every city. And this should resonate. This should resonate. Bookmark this, because we're going to read some more witnesses that bears witness to this. And he will set up his image before him in every city. And he shall bear sway 3 years and 7 months and 27 days, 3½ years. And many believers and saints, having seen him for whom they were hoping, who was executed, Yahusha, the master Mashiach. After that, Isaiah, had seen him who was executed and ascended. And those also who were believers in him, of these few in those days will be left as his servants while they flee, hear me, while they flee from desert to desert, awaiting the coming of the beloved. And after 1,332 days, the master would come with his messengers 3½ years, and with the armies of the set-apart ones from the 7th Shamayim, with the esteem of the 7th Shamayim, and he will drag Belial wickedness into Gehenna, and also his armies. And he will give rest of the set-apart one, of the righteous, whom he shall find in the body in this world, and the sun will be ashamed. And to all and to all who, because of their belief in him, have execrated wickedness of Beliar and his sovereigns. But the saints will come with the master, with their garments which are now stored up on high, and the seventh Shamayim, and the master, with the master, they will come, whose spirits are clothed. They will ascend and be present in the world, and he will strengthen those who have been found in the body, together with the saints and the garments of the saints, and the master will minister to those who have kept watch in this world. And afterwards they will turn themselves upward in their garments, and their body will be left in the world. Then the voice of the beloved will in wrath rebuke the things of Shamayim, and the things of Eradicate, and the things, and the mountains, and the hills, and the cities, and the desert, and the forest, and the messenger of the sun, and that of the moon, and all things wherein Beliar of wickedness manifested himself and acted openly in this world. And there will be a resurrection and a judgment in their midst in those days, and the beloved will cause fire to go forth from him, and it will consume all the unrighteous, and they will be as though they had not been created. And the rest of the words of the vision is written in the vision of Babylon, and the rest of the vision regarding the master, behold, it is written in 3 parables, according to my words, which are written in the book which I publicly prophesied, or Nabuah. And the descent of the beloved into Sheol, behold, it is written in the section where the master says, behold, my son will understand. And all these things, behold, they are written in the Psalms, in the parables of Dawood, the son of Yishai of Jesse, in the Proverbs of Shalomah, of Solomon his son, and in the words of Korah and Ethan the Yashar'Al, and in the words of Asaph, and in the rest of the Psalms also which the messenger of the Spirit inspired, namely in those which have not the name written, and in the words of my father Amos, and of Hosea the Nabi, the prophet, and of Micah and Joel and Nathum and Jonah and Obadiah and Habakkuk and Haggai and Malachi, and in the words of YAHUAH'S and our Joseph the just, and in the words of Daniel and our Daniel and our Daniel. I read that, Zion, to show that Hashatan, and we laid a preface, we laid down the preface that Hashatan needs flesh in order to operate in this realm. And in reading the Martyrdom of Isaiah, this foundation was laid that he indeed is going to descend from the lower Shamayim. Again, he is the prince of the power of the air. And when his kingdom is erected, he is going to descend and take on the form of a man. In other words, he's going to possess a man. He is going to possess a man. And he is going to rule through this man as ruler of the Eradicate, as ruler of the Eradicate in the flesh of a man, in the flesh of a man. And he is going to war against Yah's set-apart ones. For 3.5 years, he is going to war against Yah's set-apart ones. And so again, the question remains, are you prepared? Are you prepared for the coming war? Are you prepared? Who is this man? And who is this man that he is going to operate through and operate in order to war? The operative word is war against Yah's chosen people. Who is this man that he is going to occupy in order to war against Yah's chosen people? To unravel or to peel back this onion, let's now take a look at Genesis, Barshith, the 10th chapter, and we're going to read verse 8 through 12. verse 8 through 12. Beginning at verse 8, it reads, "And Cush brought forth Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one, a mighty one." Now the Abri here is Gibor, Gibor, Gibor. In Gibor is Strong's Hebrews 1368, and it means, hear me, intensive from the same as Strong's Hebrew 1397, and it means powerful. By implication, hear me, warrior, tyrant, champion, chief, giant, man, mighty, man, and strong man, valiant man. So we read here and we gain the understanding by looking at the Abri, we gain the understanding that Nimrod was a warrior. He was a warrior. He was a champion. He was a man of war, skilled in war. So reading on, beginning at verse 8 again, it reads, "And Cush brought forth Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the Eretz, or earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah." Again, this is the word Gibor, Gibor. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuwah. And the beginning of his reign was Babel, and Arak, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Ashur, and built Nineveh, and Rehoboth, and Calah, and Reza, between Nineveh and Calah, the great city. The great city. Now this is all the traditional 66 tells us about Nimrod. This is all it tells us about Nimrod. It gives us no further account of him. To gain a further account of Nimrod, we need to read what they call extra scriptural texts. Now I don't call them extra scriptural texts. I just simply call them scripture. There's nothing extra about them. They're just simply scripture. Just because they have not been canonized by the Catholic circuit does not mean that they are not scripture. Do you hear how silly that sounds? Just because something is not canonized by the fourth beast doesn't mean that it's not scripture, because it indeed is scripture. Nevertheless, reading in Josephus's account, now this is not scripture, this is just a historical account. In talking about Nimrod in Josephus's account, he describes Nimrod as a mighty man. As a mighty man. Indeed, he describes him as the most mighty man on earth. He was the strongest man on earth. And there is evidence that Nimrod was indeed a Nephilim, but we're not going to discuss that in this video. But there is indeed evidence that Nimrod was Nephilim. Look no further than the Epic of Gilgamesh, which depicts the story of Nimrod. Nevertheless, there is evidence that he was indeed a Nephilim, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. But in Josephus's account, he describes Nimrod as the most powerful man on earth, a mighty man, a man of war. And that he goes on to say that Nimrod used his power, used his strength to force the people, to force the earth into subjection to him, into worshiping him. He used his strength to cause them to worship him. He subdued them by war. He subdued the earth by war. I need you to understand, he subdued the earth by war. By war. And he caused the whole earth to worship him in the valley of Shinar. And he caused the whole earth to worship him in the valley of Shinar. Indeed, in the valley of Shinar, he was worshiped as the sun. He was worshiped as the sun. Hashatan was worshiped through him. Hashatan was worshiped through him as the sun. Indeed, Hashatan is still being worshiped through him as the sun. His wife, Semiramis, was worshipped as a fertility goddess or a fertility deity. His son, Tammuz, was also worshipped as a sun mighty one, I'm not going to get into all those details, but what I need you to understand is that when the Tower of Babel fell, this worship of Nimrod, this worship of Hashatan in the form of Nimrod, spread throughout the earth, and they began to worship him in different lands, in different languages, after Yah had confounded the languages. In different lands, they gave him different names. Some lands he was Baal, in some lands he was Moloch, in some lands in Babylon he was Baal, and in Greece he was called Zeus, and in Egypt he was called Ra. So same deities, different names, because Yah had confounded the languages. And the same thing applied to his son and to his wife. Same deities under different names. Nevertheless, I just need to give you that brief account. But nevertheless, when we read the account of Nimrod in Yashar'Al's account in the book of Yashar, we understand there that when they were building the Tower of Babel, there were two reasons that they were building the tower. One, because they did not want to succumb to floodwaters again in the event that Yah flooded the earth. The second reason, and perhaps the main reason that they wanted to build the Tower of Babel in accordance with Yashar, is because they wanted to build a tower to Shamayim, hear me, and they wanted to war against Yahuwah and kill Yahuwah. I know it sounds silly. And kill Yahuwah and replace him with Nimrod. Indeed, in the book of Yashar'Al in the 14th chapter, we understand that Hashatan wants to raise his throne above the Most High. Indeed, he wants to be like the Most High. And in Nimrod, he is worshipped like the Most High. Every day of the sun in Christian circles, he is worshipped like the Most High in the form of the resurrected Nimrod called Tammuz. Nevertheless, they wanted to war against the Most High and kill the Most High. I know it sounds silly. And replace him with Nimrod. Why am I telling you all of this? Because indeed, we spoke about Hashatan needing flesh in order to operate in this realm. And from the very beginning, I need you to understand that in the valley of Shinar, that Nimrod was the first anti-Messiah. He was the first anti-Messiah in the earth. He was the first one. He was the first one proclaiming himself to be Elohim. He was the first one who warred against Elohim. He was the first anti-Messiah in the earth. We understand now that he's dead. We understand that Nimrod is dead, but is he going to remain dead? Well, let's explore that. Let's look at that. Let's look at Hazun now. Revelation, the 13th chapter, and we're going to read verse 1 through 18. Beginning at verse 1, it reads, "And I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a great beast coming up out of the sea," hear me, "having 7 heads and 10 horns." And we're going to get to the understanding of the 7 heads and 10 horns further down. "And on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast I saw was like a leopard, and its feet were like the feet of a bear, and its mouth like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon, hear me, gave him his power, and his throne, and great authority." Are you listening? "And the dragon gave him his power, and his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads having been slain to death," hear me, "having been slain to death, and his deadly wound was healed." What I need you to understand is Nimrod, his manner of death was via a deadly wound to the head. He was beheaded. His head was cut off. He received a deadly wound to the head. In one account, according to Josephus or YAHUAH'S, it was Shem or Sham that beheaded him. In accordance with Jasher or Yashar, it was Esau or Asar that beheaded him. In either account, he received a deadly wound to the head. He received a deadly wound to the head. Reading on, and it says, and all the earth marveled after the beast. Marveled after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. What I'm trying to get you to understand, and we're going to read some more scripture to cement what I'm trying to tell you, is that Nimrod is the beast. Nimrod is the beast. There is no beast system without Nimrod. There is no paganism. There is no worship of the heavenly host. There is no worship of the sun without Nimrod. He was the first anti-Messiah in the earth. He was the first to cause the earth to go into paganism post-flood. Because Yah had wiped the earth clean of paganism and all false worship. But Nimrod was the first to rise and to cause the earth to go back into false worship and to worship him. And so the whole earth indeed is still worshiping Nimrod in his beast system. The whole earth through religion is still worshiping Nimrod and ultimately worshiping Hashatan through him. So he is the beast. There is no beast system without Nimrod. There is no paganism, idolatry without Nimrod. Here's what I need you to understand. And they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast saying, listen, who is like the beast? Who is able to, hear me, fight with him? Who is able to fight with him? Remember, Nimrod is a warrior. He is a warrior. He subdues by war. He subdues by force. And we understand that the beast, the anti-Messiah, is going to war against Yah's people. This is his character. This has always been the character of Nimrod. To be a mighty one, to be a warrior. This has always been his character. Indeed, we understand that the whole earth, as we read on, is going to worship the beast, just like the whole earth worshiped the beast the first time in the valley of Shinar. He was the first anti-Messiah, and he's going to be the last anti-Messiah. Who is able to fight with him? And he was given a mouth speaking great matters and blasphemies. And he was given authority to do so for 42 months, 3.5 years, as we read in Isaiah, the Martyrdom of Isaiah, the 4th chapter, 3.5 years. And he was given authority to do so 42 months. So by now you understand what I am saying. That Hashatan is going to occupy the body of Nimrod. But you might say, well, Nimrod is dead and he's in Sheol, or commonly called hell. But hear me, let's continue to read. And he opened his mouth and in blasphemies against Elohim to blaspheme his name and his tent and those dwelling in the Shamayim. And it was given to him, listen, to fight with the set apart ones. Again, are you prepared for war? Are you prepared? They are. They are being prepared. Are you? And it was given to him to fight with the set apart ones to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation, just like in the valley of Shinar. Just like in the valley of Shinar. And all those dwelling on the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life of the slain lamb from the foundation of the world shall worship him. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword. Here is the endurance and the belief of the set apart ones. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and this is the false prophet. This is the false prophet. This is This is Rome. This is the Pope. This is the fourth beast. There have been four beasts that have ruled the earth. The first beast was Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. The second beast was Medo-Persia. The third beast was Greece. And the fourth beast is going to last into the end. And that promulgates the beast system, that promulgates this false system of worship. Indeed, all four beasts promulgated this beast system. They promulgated it by force. They promulgated it by force. Rome is no different. The fourth beast that is going to last into the end. The Pope is the false prophet, the fourth beast, the fourth beast. He is the false prophet, Rome, the fourth beast. And we're going to get into that further down. And I saw another beast coming up out of the pit, and he had two horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and all those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Remember, he received a deadly wound to the head. And remember that Nimrod received a deadly wound to the head, the first anti-Messiah, the first ruler of the earth, the first sovereign of the earth, the first king of the earth, received a deadly wound to the head via beheading, via some accounts via Sham, and other accounts via Esau. In either case, he received a deadly wound to the head. And he does great signs so that he even makes fire come down from the Shamayim on the earth before men. And he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he was given to do before the beast, saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the beast. Remember, we read this in the 4th chapter of the Martyrdom of Isaiah. It says the same thing. And saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword, who was wounded by the sword. Are you hearing me? Who was wounded by the sword. Nimrod was beheaded by a sword. He was beheaded, yet lived, yet lived. And there was given to him to give spirit to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for war? Are you prepared for war? And he causes all, both small and great, and rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except that he has the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is the Chachma, what is commonly called wisdom. He who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast. Hear me, for it is the number of a man. For it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. 666. Now let's look at the name Nimrod. Let's look at the name Nimrod. Now in the Abri, Nimrod would be Nimrod ban Cush, Namrud ban Cush, or Nimrod, the son of Cush. Nimrod, the son of Cush. So in Abri, he would be Nimrod ban Cush, Nimrod, the son of Cush. The numerical Abri value of Nimrod would equal 294. Nun equals 50, Mam 40, Rosh 200, Dalet 4. Ban, or son, has a numerical Abri value of 52. Bat 2, Nun 50. The Abri numerical value of Cush equals 320. Kaf 20, Shin 300. And so when we add up these numbers, 294 plus 52 plus 320, you guessed it, we arrive at 666. 666. 666. Nimrod is the beast. Nimrod is the beast. There is no beast system without Nimrod. There is no beast system without Nimrod. He was the first anti-Mashiach. He was the first sovereign of the earth in the valley of Shinar. And he is going to be the last anti-Mashiach, in whom Hashatan is going to dwell and erect his reign, erect his kingdom, in which he is going to war through this man of war against Yah's elect people. Against Yah's elect people. Again, Nimrod is and was a warrior. This is his character. He was, again, the first anti-Messiah, and he will be the last anti-Messiah. He was beheaded by Shem. We're just recounting some things. He was beheaded by Shem. Remember, he received a deadly wound to the head, and he lived. And he lived. In accordance, again, with some accounts, he was beheaded by Esau, in accordance with Yashar. But in either case, he was beheaded and received a deadly wound to the head. He received a deadly wound to the head. Well, some of you may say, well, okay, I understand that, but he's still dead. He's still dead. Well, let's read some more. Let's eat some more, and let's peel some more of this onion back. Turn now to Hazun, of Revelation, the 17th chapter, and we're going to read it 1 through 18. Beginning at verse 1, it reads, "And one of the 7 messengers who had the 7 bowls came and spoke with me, saying to me, Come, I shall show you the judgment of the great whore sitting on many waters." On many waters. Oh yes, this whore has her tentacles in every nation, with whom the sovereigns of the earth committed whoring. And the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her whoring. And the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her whoring. And he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, covered with names of blasphemy. Here we read this again, the names of blasphemy. The beast was covered with names of blasphemy and spoke great blasphemous words against the Most High. Having 7 heads, here we hear this again, and 10 horns. And the woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup filled with abominations and the filthiness of her whoring. And upon her forehead a name written, a secret, Babel the Great. Babel the Great. Remember? Nimrod founded Babylon. He was the ruler of Babylon. He founded Babylon. And we see here that Babylon still has its power. According to the text, Babylon sits in every nation. Every nation under the sun worships the beast, worships Babylon through religion, worships this false pagan way of worship. Every nation under the sun, irrespective of what religion we're talking about, because religion is of Babel, it is of Babylon, inclusive of Christianity. All of them are wicked and pagan, and all of them ultimately are the worship of Nimrod. All of them are Babylonian. Nevertheless, it reads, and upon her forehead a name written, a secret, Babel the Great, the mother of the whores, of the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the set-apart ones, with the blood of the set-apart ones, warring against the set-apart ones, and with the blood of the witnesses of Yahushua. And having seen her, I marveled, greatly marveled. And the messenger said to me, Why did you marvel? Let me explain to you the secret of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw, listen, hear me. The beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to come up out of the pit of the deep and goes to destruction. So we read here that the beast is going to be resurrected. The beast is going to be resurrected. The beast that received a deadly wound to the head, that was and was not, he is coming up. This beast is coming up, and Hashatan is going to inhabit this beast. He's going to inhabit this man and govern the earth through Nimrod, the first anti-Messiah who governed and ruled the earth, and who is going to be the last anti-Messiah who is going to govern and rule the whole earth. Here is the mind having Chokmah. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Hear me, Zion. This is Rome. This is Rome. Rome was founded on 7 hills. Rome was founded on 7 mountains. Rome is the 4th beast that will last to the end. Rome is the 4th beast that is currently promulgating the beast system. Rome is currently the 4th beast that is promulgating the beast system. It is the place of the false prophet. It is the epicenter. It is the epicenter of Babylon. And this is where the woman sits. This is where Babylon sits. This is where Circe sits. This is where church sits. You see, in the etymology of church is Circe. Circe is the Greek goddess of sorcery and wine, who is known for getting men drunk and then turning them into pigs. Yes, she has the whole world drunk with her sorcery and her wine. Indeed, the Circe, the church, gets men drunk and then turns them into abominable pigs, because it does not teach them to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. And so this is talking about the 4th beast, Rome, the false prophet who currently promulgates the beast system, This is where the woman currently sits. This is where she sits. And there are 7 sovereigns, 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he has to remain a little while. And the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes to destruction. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 sovereigns who have not yet received a reign, but receive authority as sovereigns with the beast for 1 hour, They have 1 mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. All earthly religions, Zion, all earthly religions, which again is ultimately the worship of Nimrod, are going to be given over to the beast. He's not going to allow anyone to worship him indirectly. He's going to force the earth to worship him directly. And so all the earthly religions are going to be gathered into a one world religion to worship the beast directly. They're going to give over their power and authority to the beast and worship him directly, and worship Hashatan through the body of Nimrod, just like the first valley of Shinar, where he was the first anti-Mashiach, and he's going to be the last anti-Mashiach, where the whole earth is going to once again worship him again. Again, remember, the whole earth worshiped him there as the sun, and the whole earth is going to worship him again when he is resurrected from the pit. These are not my words. The text says he's coming up out of the pit, and this is whom Hashatan is going to indwell. Listen, and they shall fight with the Lamb. Remember, this is Nimrod's character. This is his character. He began to be mighty before Yahuwah, a mighty warrior before Yahuwah. This is his character to fight. This is his character. They shall fight with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is master of masters and sovereigns of sovereigns. And those with him are called and chosen and trustworthy. And he said to me, the waters which you saw, listen, where the whore sits are peoples and crowds and nations and tongues. Again, the whore, Babylon, this false Babylonian system of worship, is in every nation. This whore has her tentacles in every single nation. She has her tentacles in every single nation. The world is Babylon. And coming out of Babylon means to come out of this false pagan system of worship. It means to come out of all organized religion and to follow the way, and to follow the instructions of Yah, and to have the testimony of Yahushua, my HaMashiach. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these shall hate the whore and lay her waste. They're going to lay our religion waste. They're going to lay all false religions. They're going to lay them waste. And there is going to be no more indirect worship of the beast, but the earth is going to worship him directly. And shall hate the whore and lay her waste and naked and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim did give it into their hearts to do his mind, to be of one mind, and to give their reign to the beast. Unto the words of Elohim shall be accomplished, and the woman who you saw is that great city, having sovereignty over the sovereigns of the earth. Babylon. Babylon. This city is also reminiscent of Nimrod's wife, Semiramis. She's a witch. She's a witch. It is also reminiscent of his wife. She is essentially, she rides the beast. She rides her husband, and she is essentially holding the fort down until he comes back up out of the pit. Indeed, when he was slain, she continued to promulgate this false system of worship. Her and her son, Tammuz, she continued it. And then she caused all those who were under her authority to then worship Tammuz as the resurrected Nimrod, and who is also worshipped as the sun, his symbol being the cruce, a cross that sits atop most churches. We also see evidence of this with the obelisk, which essentially is a symbol of Semiramis, because it is a symbol of fertility worship. It is symbolic of an erect penis. It is symbolic of an erect penis because indeed fertility worship and sun worship go hand in hand. There is always fertility worship with sun worship. There is always sex worship and sex magic with sun worship. And thus we see the obelisk, or an erect male penis, and the symbol of Tammuz, the sun deity, sitting atop of it on most churches. Sitting atop of it on most churches, where he is being worshipped as the resurrected Nimrod. Indeed, he is the one who is being worshipped on Ishtar Sunday. On Ishtar Sunday, the resurrected Nimrod is being worshipped. It is also a fertility festival. Hence, it is called Ishtar and our Easter and our Semiramis. They go by many names. Nevertheless, rounding this up, reading in Hazon, a Revelation, the 19th chapter, verse 1 through 21, beginning at verse 1, we read, After this I heard a loud voice of a great crowd in the Shamayim, saying, Hallelujah, deliverance and esteem and respect and power to Yahuwah our Elohim, because true and righteous are his judgments, because he has judged the great whore, Babylon, who corrupted the earth with her whoring, with this false worship. And he has avenged on her the blood of his servants shed by her. Indeed, are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared for war? And a second time they said, Hallelujah, and her smoke rises up forever and ever. And the 24 elders and the 4 living creatures fell down and worshiped Elohim, who sat on the throne, saying, So be it, Amen, Hallelujah. And a voice came from the throne saying, Praise our Elohim, all you his servants, and all those who fear him, both small and great. And I heard as the voice of a great crowd, as the sound of many waters, of many mayim, and as the sound of the mighty thunder, saying, Hallelujah, for Yahuwah Al Shaddai reigns. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife prepared herself. And to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright. For the fine linen is the righteousness of the set-apart ones. And he said to me, Write Baruch of those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, These are the true words of Elohim. And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, See, do not do it. I am your fellow servant and of your brothers who possess the witness of Yahushua. Worship Elohim. For the witness of Yahuwah, for the witness of Yahusha is the spirit of Nabuah and our prophecy. And I saw the Shamayim opened, and are what they call heaven. And there was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called trustworthy and true. And in righteousness he judges and fights. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. And on his head were many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one had perceived except himself. And having been dressed in a robe dripped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. And the armies in the Shamayim, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the wine presses of the fierceness and wrath of Al Shaddai. And on his robe, and on his right thigh has a name written, Sovereigns of Sovereigns and Master of Masters. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in mid-Shamayim, come and gather together for the supper of the great Elohim, to eat the flesh of sovereigns, and the flesh of commanders, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beast, This is Nimrod. And I saw the beast and the sovereigns of the earth and their armies gathered together to what? To fight him who sat on the horse and his army. Again, this is his character. This has always been his character, to fight against Yah. This was the reason for the first tower of Babel, to go up and fight against Yah and slay him and replace Yah with Nimrod. Again, Hashatan, who operates through Nimrod, desires to place his throne above the Shamayim, to place his throne above the Most High, and to be like the Most High. Thus, he is being worshipped as the Son through Nimrod. And I saw the beast and the sovereigns of the earth and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false Nabi, or false prophet, Rome, the Pope, the fourth beast. They were seized with the beast, who worked signs in his presence, by which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast, and those who worshipped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire, burning with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword, which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds which were filled with their flesh. Now, if you go on and you read Hazon, the 20th chapter, we understand that when Nimrod, and when the fourth beast, Rome, the popes, are cast into the lake of fire alive, Hashatan, who operated in the beast, who gave him his power, who descended from the lower Shamayim and came in the flesh of a man, Nimrod 666, when he is seized, when the beast and the fourth beast, the false prophet, are seized and thrown into the lake of fire, in accordance with Hazun, the 20th chapter, Hashatan is then going to be bound and thrown into a pit for 1,000 years. So the beast is Nimrod, and Hashatan is going to use him, is going to operate in him in order so that he will have a legal right to operate in the earth as sovereign, so that he will have a legal right to operate in flesh as sovereign through this wicked sovereign, through Nimrod. The beast who was and was not and who is to come up out of the pit, who received a deadly wound to the head, in whom which there is no beast system without Nimrod. He is the progenitor of the beast system. There is no beast system without Nimrod. There is no idolatry without Nimrod, because all idolatry points towards the worship of Nimrod, the beast. The beast. Again, he was and he is a warrior. And he is going to war against Yah's people. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? He was the first anti-Messiah where the world worshiped him in the valley of Shinar. And he will be the last anti-Messiah where the world will worship him once again. The whole system, this whole system is centered around the worship of him. In the book of Zechariah, the 5th chapter, verse 9 through 11, we read here about the resurrection of Shinar. The resurrection of Shinar, which goes hand in hand with the resurrection of Nimrod. Beginning at verse 9, it reads, "And I lifted up my eyes and looked and saw 2 women coming with the wind in their wings. And they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the Alpha measure between Eradicate and the Shamayim. Then I said to the messenger who was speaking to me, where are they taking the Alpha measure? And he said to me, listen, to build a house in the land of Shinar. To build a house in the land of Shinar. And it shall be established and set there on its own base. On its own base." Hear me, Zion. There is a veil. There is a veil that separates the natural from the supernatural. Indeed, most that are in the occult, they understand that this pagan month that they call October is this entire month. If you talk to a pagan or you talk to a sorceress or a witch, and I don't talk to them, but they will tell you that that veil is at its thinnest during this season, during the month of October. Spiritual activity is at its height during this season because that veil is at its thinnest because of all the incantations and spells that are going forth in this season. But what I need you to understand is that that veil is getting thin to a point to where that veil in the coming season soon is going to be non-existent, where the supernatural, where darkness is going to come upon the earth, and a literal reign of darkness, unlike the world has ever seen, is coming upon the earth. It's coming upon the earth. It's coming. That veil is getting thinner. The question is, are you being prepared for war? Are you being prepared for war? The powers of darkness are. They are preparing. They've been preparing. Are you preparing? Which is fast, Zion? Which is fast for great lengths of days? They are preparing. They are preparing. Are you preparing? Are you preparing for the coming war? Are you? Nimrod is a man of war. And the powers of darkness are going to war against us. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for the coming war? Are you prepared for the coming reign of darkness? We see examples of this in plain sight when we look at the Chronicles of Narnia, where we see so-called mythical beasts coexisting with mankind. Do you not understand, Zion, that that's truth in plain sight? That so-called mythical beasts are going to rise and they're going to walk in plain sight when their king, when their sovereign comes to power. And they're going to war against you. The question is, are you prepared for war? Are you prepared, or are you being distracted? Are you being distracted? The text declares that and those who endure unto the end are going to be saved. We're going to have to endure until the very end. The text also declares that if those days were not shortened, that no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, but for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. Those days shall be shortened. Are you being prepared for the coming war? I'm not talking about Russia and China. I'm not talking about Turkey. I'm not talking about ISIS. Are you prepared for the supernatural war that's coming? The supernatural war that bullets are not going to protect us from, that bombs are not going to protect us from, but only the sword of the Spirit is going to be able to allow us and help us to overcome the coming spiritual war that's coming upon the earth. Are you being prepared? Are you being prepared? A few days ago, I had a vision, I had a dream. And in that dream, I heard the word spoken, cry out or die. Cry out or die. Just yesterday, my Aisha heard the words, fight or die. Fight or die. You see, this is our choice. These are our choices. Either fight or die. Cry out or die. What do I mean? When our ancestors were in Mitzrayim, and they became, and Pharaoh began to afflict them under harsh bondage, and they began to cry out, then Yah sent a deliverer to them. Had they not cried out, they would have died in Mitzrayim. But they cried out, and Yah sent a deliverer to them. They were then translated to the wilderness. But from the wilderness, in order to get into the promised land, they had to fight. They had to fight or die in the wilderness. Yes, Yah went before them, but they also had to fight. They had to fight or die. They had to fight or die. Sure, YAHUAH, Nisi, he is our banner. He went before them and he disarmed all the powers of the principalities that govern these nations, but they still had to fight a physical battle. They still had to fight, and the same remains true for us. He will go before us, but we ourselves have to fight. We still have to fight or die. Are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared for the coming battle? Are you prepared for what's to come? For the darkness that's coming upon this earth? Are you prepared to fight? Because they are preparing to fight against you. They are preparing to kill you. They are preparing to possess you. They are preparing against you. Wizards and sorcerers and Satanists are preparing. They know what's coming. Do you understand what's coming? They are preparing for their sovereign. Are you preparing for our sovereign? And in preparing for our sovereign, are you preparing to endure to see his face? To fight against the powers of darkness that are preparing to fight against you? That are preparing to fight against you. Indeed, fight or die. Fight or die. I heard a video a few days ago, and it was given a historical account of when the Moors conquered Spain and conquered most of Europe. And in this historical account, the person laid the foundation of how also there were Abri men with these so-called black Moors. There were melanated so-called black Abri men with these Moors fighting alongside them, because indeed there was a time when Yashar'Al, or the Abri men and Moors and Muslims, lived in harmony side by side together because there was a similar way of worship, and they lived side by side with one another in harmony. But there was an account when they landed on the shores of Spain with their leader, and they saw the vast armies of the Spaniards who were arrayed before them. And the men began to fear, and they began to fear. Their leader, recognizing this and sensing that the men were losing their heart to fight and that they were fearing, he then ordered that they burn the boats, that they burn all of their boats, all of the boats. And so now he they were faced with a choice. They had no way of escape. They could either fight or die. They could either fight or die. Of course, they chose to fight, and they went on to conquer most of Europe with the only choice of fighting or dying. Are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared to fight your way back into the promised land? Are you prepared to fight the powers of darkness that are soon to be unleashed upon this earth? Are you being prepared? Is your mind, is your nafas being prepared? Is your spirit man being built up? Are you prepared for the coming war? Are you prepared for the coming war to fight against Hashatan's kingdom in the body of Nimrod? In the body of Nimrod. Now, Yahuwah has many of us in Marine Corps boot camp right now. Many of us in Marine Corps boot camp where we are being prepared for war. Where we are being prepared for war, where there are real warlike scenarios in a controlled environment. Nevertheless, we're being prepared for war. And even in this controlled environment where there are warlike scenarios, real warlike scenarios, if you're not careful, you can get hurt. You can get hurt. Nevertheless, it is still preparation for the war to come. Many of us are in Marine Corps boot camp right now. I specifically said Marine Corps boot camp because, quote unquote, it is the toughest boot camp, natural, basic training boot camp on earth. Because it is, quote unquote, the toughest basic training, a basic boot camp on earth. So many of us are in Marine Corps boot camp right now. Are you in boot camp? Are you in boot camp? Are you in Marine Corps boot camp? Or are you in Air Force boot camp? Is life nice? Are you having cappuccinos? Are you being distracted by your sports? Are you being distracted by your sitcoms? Are you being distracted by the worries and concerns of this life? Are you being distracted by Facebook? Are you in Air Force boot camp or are you in Marine Corps boot camp? Are you being prepared? Is he training your proverbial hands for battle and these arms for war? Is he training you? Are you being prepared for what's to come? Are you spending time on the threshing floor? Are you spending time turning over the plate? Are you being tested? Are you in boot camp right now, being prepared for the coming war, when Hashatan is going to manifest in flesh in the body of Nimrod and go to war against us? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? I'm going to end this, but I want to read from Matif Yahu, or Matthew, the 16th chapter. I want to read verses 13 through 19. Verses 13 through 19. Beginning at verse 13, it reads, "And when Yahusha came into the parts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his taught ones, saying, Who do men say that the son of Adam is? And they said, Some say Yahuchanan the Immerser, and others Eliyahu, and others Yahu or Jeremiah, or one of the Nabiim or prophets. He said to them, And you, who do you say I am? And Shama'un Kafar, or commonly called Simon Peter, answering said, You are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. And Yahusha answering said to him, Baruch are you, Shamun Bar Yunah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in the Shamayim. And I also say to you that you are Kafar, and on this rock and on this truth that I am the Messiah, the Son of the Most High Yah. Not that Peter is the rock, but on this truth that he is the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. I shall build my assembly, and the gates of Sheol, commonly called hell, shall not overcome it. Listen, hear me. And I shall give you the keys of the reign of the Shamayim. And whatsoever and whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in the Shamayim, And whatever you loosen on earth shall be having been loosened in the Shamayim. Zion, no one gives someone the keys to their house without trusting them. Without trusting them. We're going to need the keys. We're going to need the keys to unlock the Shamayim in order to bring down Shamayim into the Eretz in this coming season. We're going to need the keys. But Yahuwah must be able to trust us with the keys to his house before he will give them to us. Before he will give them to us. He must be able to trust us. Are you spending time on the threshing floor? Are you turning over the plate? Are you being obedient with as best you can? Are you loving him with all your heart, mind, and strength? Are you showing yourself a trustworthy servant? So that in the time to come, when the latter rain comes, when the spirit of all Yahu comes, that you will be in the right position to receive it. And thus he will give you the keys to the rain. And so that when the powers of darkness rise, when the reign of Hashatan rises in the body of Nimrod, that we will be able to operate in uncommon signs and wonders. Not common, the common signs and wonders that are proliferating the earth at this time, but uncommon signs and wonders, because it's going to take uncommon signs and wonders in order to operate in the next season, in order to be able to fight and stand against the powers of darkness that are coming upon this earth. The powers of darkness that are coming upon this earth. Are you being prepared? Are you prepared for war? Are you prepared for war? I'm proposing a fast, Zion. I'm proposing a fast. If any of you are interested in fasting with me, fasting for strength, fasting for endurance, fasting for preparation, either comment in the comment section here or email me at Daoud_Bean_Yahuwah6733 at yahoo.com. That's Daoud_Bean_Yahuwah6733 at yahoo.com. If you're interested in this fast and fasting with me, email me for the specifics or comment in the comment section. I prefer that you email me because the enemy also has spies. He also has spies. So I don't want to say out loud when the fast will begin and the parameters of the fast. If you're interested, email me and I'll give you the specifics. I'll give you the specifics. Nevertheless, I pray that this has been edifying. I pray that you have been inspired. I pray that you have been strengthened. I pray that you have been alerted. Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yashar'Al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it.